blah, 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 blah. We got these brothers and sisters that are well studied in this right here. They're giving us basic information. I know I'm trying to use it like, okay, so what's next? We need structure. All right, so the brothers of the law, the sisters of the government. Okay, so then what's next? I mean, we got to take advantage. The tickets are really cheap, $20. Come on, y'all. National Black Theater in Harlem. All right, it's like going to the Mecca. You know. You want to? Wait, I forgot Eric. Eric has a question. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, what up, Bill? How you doing?
I'm well, brother. How are you?
I'm good. So, my one question is that, Elizabeth is that, the surprise was time is more heartbroken, more dramatic, more scared. You know what I'm saying? One clue? That's my question.
Abundance, you're going to have to repeat it because
I can hardly hear myself. He's breaking up. He's breaking up, Eric.
My phone went out. I said, well, since you have a surprise this Sunday, I wonder if it's going to be heartbreaking, more fearful, or something, to get the audience all roused up. I mean, not one clue. That's my question.
Well, I'm not sure, but like I said, I have a surprise for the people. It's not going to be expected, and it's going to be something that's going to be necessary for us to do. I have done this, and I've put together Sunday for a purpose because I can only tell you all this. I can only tell you that the weather you're seeing, the madness you're seeing, all the craziness you're seeing coming in from the east, going to the west, which is actually the east going to the west. When you see the world spinning, we're actually taking in the energy of the east. So what I'm saying to you is that we are officially in World War III.
Oh, yep. Yep. You're right about that.
And what the necessity for you to understand world politics has to start with why it has changed in the United States of America and what has happened. And there's going to be a lot of beautiful things that are going to happen, a lot of beautiful things for people to come to grips with. But I felt that this was necessary for me to do on Sunday because the asymmetric algorithms of psychospiritual warfare has a harmonic to that. And there is, just for every yin, there's a yang. For every yang, there's a yin. So the asymmetric algorithms of biospiritual warfare is the foundation. Now, you've always heard me speaking about psychospiritual warfare. That's the foundation because, of course, the Bible, the Quran, all of them have all spoken about the fact that we're not fighting any earthbound creatures. We're fighting spirits and principalities. We're fighting energies, and these energies have taken over the planet. And there's a real surprise. It's like I said, it's going to be something different. It's going to be hopefully something that people can get with. But sometimes I know that my titles go over people's heads. I know you got it, Abundance, but it becomes something that people have to try to go through decrypting and breaking down. And I don't want to go through that right now. I want to start with it. This book. We're going to see what happens on Sunday.
Okay, all right. No, that's good. That's good. That's good enough. Well, I have to probably make a trip down there then for the first time to see you in person, and maybe get your wonderful
thanks.
And,
Wonderful.
So I'll be
that's great. All right, thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's some serious. This is going to be interesting because I think now, like with the weather, there's just so many things that are happening. People are just kind of like, I can't believe this is happening. Even with all the stuff that you blew the whistle on a lot of things. Remember with the shootings and all that type of stuff.
Right.
When we see, like we've always seen now, you blame it on the terrorists and all this type of stuff. But I mean, it's getting kind of obvious. It's like folks killing white folks now. Now this is getting serious. Now all of a sudden, and it's a shame. Now all of a sudden we want to pay attention.
Yeah, and again, it becomes like a parent. If you're a parent, you have to say things 1,000 times before the child gets it. And that's the job you take on when you become a parent. And it's interesting because when my mother was alive, God bless her, she used to say, you're teaching and you're becoming the parent to the community now, and you're going to find yourself being like I had to talk to you when you were young, over and over and over and over again, until they get it. So when you're doing the work, you'll find it, because you kids are going to have to take over from Dr. Blair and myself and Bobby and everybody. You're going to take it over, and you're going to find yourself saying the same thing over and over and over again until they get it. Well, for me, it's been the last 35, going on 40. For Dr. Blair, it's been 50 years. Yeah. So it's a cycle that people pick up, and they go into the parenting mode. And the thing is, to tell you the truth, you have to truly love your people to deal with all of the nuances of their behaviors, their reactions, because you got to remember back 35 years ago when I started speaking about this, there was serious hate going on, especially from the sisters. And when I was attacking Oprah and showing what was going on at that time, there was no room for love in that one. But now, slowly but surely, as it begins to make the cycle and show itself, it happens. But you're going to have to stick with your guns. You have to really stick with what you know to be correct, right, truth, and exact. And when you do that, that's when the cycle of righteous truth comes back around to affirm your work, and that's when they begin to get it. It's a slow process. It's a thankless job, like my mother said. But it's a process that must take place. It must take place. And when we hand the torch to you all, you'll find that you're going to have to say, but you all are going to have a work you kids are going to have to try to bring around and turn around kids like you saw in that video.
Yeah, too much. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, this is crazy. And you know what else is crazy? Not only the fact that I know that the amount of work that's ahead of us, but it's all of the anger that's coming from everybody in different ways. People are expressing their anger in different ways. For example, some people express their anger by just pointing the finger and saying, oh, it's all the women's fault. The women are raising these brothers. You know what I mean? There's no daddies in the home. Y'all women need to get yourself together. Y'all don't know how to act. That's why we deal with white people. And you have other people who deal with the anger by just trying to shut down. They don't really want to open up. They stay in their little cliques. They stay in their little organization. Their shit don't stink. They're high-ho. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, yeah.
You know, everybody expresses, right, they're expressing their anger in a different way. So that's what I see that's going to be a major issue with the next generation.
But you remember I called the brothers out on this as well. And many times on this forum, I call the brothers out, and I'm saying the reason why we're in chaos is because those who are supposed to bring the order, those who are supposed to create the structure of a society in order, are the brothers. And the brothers at the time, because of the feminization, have refused to want to stand up and be ready to die for what they believe, for what they know they want. And this is exactly what it is that I think it was Ashada Shakur or who it was that said this, but they said there's no way, Ashada said that there's no way that you can appeal to someone who's oppressing you. There's no way you talk to someone, appeal to them, ask them, cajole them, or try to do things in certain ways to get them to get off your back. There's no way, no society ever respects anyone that would do that. You don't go marching around with placards when somebody got their boot on your neck. That's ridiculous. They come at you with force and they tell you to march. It's asinine. So what you have to understand is that unless the men stand up and are ready to die for what they believe, which is what men do in order to protect their own, we don't have that anymore. So the men are not structured enough, and they're taken from childhood to become dysfunctional. And remember, it's the education, or what we call the deducation system, that destroys the young male very early and takes away his reason to be. They take away his reason to be. When you take away the reason of the reasoning of what a male is supposed to be, and you stick him in a SWAT uniform and tell him he is holding down the order in that manner, you don't hold down order. That's you managing disorder. Let me say that again. The SWAT that they got out there that's coming into your community, killing your children, killing you, is not keeping order. They are controlling the disorder, because your life and your society and your community is in disorder because of them pulling resources and creating the conditions of disorder that gives the excuse to have a SWAT team in your living room, so that they maintain control of your behavior, your children's behavior, and so forth. So you, as men, back in the days when the Panthers didn't come up carrying guns because we wanted to kick ass and take names. That's BS. The Panthers came up to go against what it is that these overzealous Ku Klux Klan in uniform was doing in our community. The police went ape shit in our communities back in California. So they stood up as men and, taking their rights to own an arm and to protect themselves, went out and did community work. Nobody talks about what the Panthers did when they were raising up and feeding the community. The whole lunch program you see being taken place across the United States, the free lunch program or the school lunch program, was started by the Panthers. So now, when you start seeing the whole nation doing what men were doing to bring order in their community now, you know you have to destroy that. So what they did,
and that's what you said earlier. It just makes sense. You said earlier, once the government gets involved,
exactly, and the government got involved.
The place for the men. The government came in and took the place for the men, because now the government can go up in your girl's vagina with the Medicaid and give her HPV and all you already know. Then she can make sure God gave her the food supplies and give her food stamps. You know what I mean? Everything.
Yeah.
You give her housing with the Section 8. She'll never have to come off of that. That's lifetime. You can give her a check, too. You know what I mean? For your sister's needy family. It's crazy.
Yeah, and this is why. And again, remember, you export all of the work and jobs that men needed in order to have that middle class society that was allowed to raise and teach their own children, have the structure of the family, allow the woman to stay home and build a community, not just to stay home and be a wife, but to build a community from inside out. They weren't just sitting around just twiddling their thumbs and looking at TV. They were building the community from inside and making it better, structuring it better so that the substance of the community was being built up by the sisters inside of that cocoon of protection and providing that the men had been given. Once you took the manufacturing jobs and all of the jobs that actually entailed reasoning, logic, that men needed in order to advance themselves, and you shipped it overseas and paid the people over there 25 cents as opposed to the $5 and $10 and $20 that was also maintaining a middle society or the middle class. You shipped all of that. This was a strategic move. How do you undermine the movement of the black man? You make sure that the jobs that he had in helping to build this society and to grow his own future was taken and offshore. Now with no more jobs, and now you undermining his ability to be able to create more jobs and to do things that would allow him to provide for his family, he now becomes part of the prison industrial complex. And most people don't see that concurrent and simultaneous with the shipping out of all of the middle class work and all of the industrial jobs, all of the think tank, all of the people with the intellectual capital was shipped offshore. That's when the systematic demise began to happen in this society, the undermining of it. That's when the prison industrial complex began building more prisons. This is a plan. It's a tactical plan. And you have to see it that way. The tactical plan was to take a woman away from what she did best. That is, to bring babies into the world, to nurture them as human beings. The first sense of understanding humanity is what the woman conveys to the child, and then we only know mother. There was a thing, I don't know if you ever saw this movie called The Crow, when it first came out. when the crow